It's Movie Day. I'm Ray Love Jr.
And I'm Tre'vell Anderson.
And we are Seated, the blackest show about movies.
Yes, we are. Today, we are going to get into Paul Thomas Anderson's latest movie, okay? One battle after another. There's a lot in this one, you all, okay?
Yes, it's a lot to chew on. It's a lot to chew on. But is there anything happening in Hollywood that hit the headlines that caught your eye?
Yes. Okay, so I want to talk about this whole situation with Marlon Wayans, you know, and his commentary about the critics. Okay, so as you know, in our last episode, we reviewed his movie, Him, which we talked about is supposed to be, you know, his calling card that he could do hard, big things.
And everybody else is talking about it too, child.
Everybody is talking about it, but not greatly, okay?
Yeah.
Not in good ways.
Yeah.
And so Marlon went to Instagram to basically say that audiences should check out the movie for themselves. They shouldn't just rely on the critics. He respects critics.
Yeah.
And for what we do, but everyone shouldn't rely on the critics because he's done so many other movies that were not critical successes, right? But that have become classics, right?
Specifically cult classics.
Classics.
Which I think he has a point there because, I mean, even like when it comes to black movies, most of the criticisms that we've seen, which is kind of an argument to like the lack of black criticism in the space, they don't really rate our films in a favorable light.
Right.
Often because they probably don't get it. They can't relate, and so they're missing themes. But it's something that I agree with. Like, I don't think you should let the opinion of others stop you from seeing things that form your own. And criticism, while can be helpful in helping you understand a thing, shouldn't be what you use as a way to decide whether or not it's worth seeing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do want to be clear that Him is not a great movie.
It's not.
Objectively speaking.
Yeah, but it's also not as bad as like the general consensus made it seem.
Agreed. Because it was like in the 20 some odd percent.
Well, we reported it was like 28, 30%. Yeah, something crazy. Yeah,
it was low. So, and I agree. It should not be that low. Okay, I would have given it a nice 75.
I also think that with like the rise of platforms like Rotten Tomatoes and Letterboxd, where people can so easily and quickly see kind of the general consensus of a movie, it's worth understanding how these things work. And I want to shout out our girl Brooke Obi, who I saw replied to someone on Blue Sky, I think it was, explaining to them how the Rotten Tomatoes scores are actually tallied.
Yeah.
It's not like a rating of the movie. It's really talking about how many of this group that got to see it liked it or spoke well of it.
Yeah.
So like if out of 100 critics, 28 liked it, it's going to have a 28%.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
That's how it works.
I think that's one way to look at it. The reality also is, you know, you might see something and disagree with the critics.
Yeah. Yeah. As I often do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, it's a complex conversation. You can absolutely take what I say at face value and listen to me and my recommendations.
Yes.
But I'm more often than not going to tell you, you know, if you want to see it, go see it.
Yeah. And that's kind of a function of this like show to me, is that like the reason why I value criticism is because oftentimes I want to have something that helps paint a different picture of how something landed on me to expand my understanding of the work.
Yeah.
And to like really engage with other ideas and other thoughts about subject matter that I may either get or don't get.
Yeah.
But I'm interested enough to like engage with the thing. And like I love that like criticism is getting more of a lens and making more noise. But I will also say that like Marlon's response to it, I think, was smart. I would say,
really what else
smart.
is he supposed to say?
Yeah.
What else is he supposed to say? What else is he supposed to do? You know, like
some people don't say anything.
Right, exactly.
And
he decided to try to harness a little bit of the narrative and you know, he didn't downspeak critics per se. But that's why I do want to note that like this isn't one of those situations where there aren't black critics talking about this movie. In fact, some of the harshest criticisms
rightfully so
of him have come from, you know, us.
Yeah.
And so I hear him, and also not too much, beloved.
Right.
But I do hope that he has whatever kind of acting career he desires from here on out. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Well, that was good. So I think that was definitely a great way to dive into our criticism and understanding of our main subject matter today. So we're going to take a quick break and come on back to discuss one battle after another. Set against the backdrop of an America fracturing into a police state, One Battle After Another is Paul Thomas Anderson's new searing action thriller centered around a group of revolutionaries known as the French 75 who were pressed to keep the fight alive across generations. It's a high-stakes, action-packed, and hella horny chase that highlights the depth of character enhanced by a cast of Black women committed to protecting each other at all costs. And if that's not enough, in its own freaky, twisted way, it's also a Christmas movie? We're getting to why this particular Black-led rebellion feels like the must-see movie of the season, aside from the fact that it features some of our faves, Teyana Taylor and Regina Hall. Tre'vell, now, that was a lot to chew on.
You called it a must-see movie of the season. Listen, somebody is going to cut that out and put that on a billboard, okay? You think it is must-see?
I think so. I mean, on the last episode, or our first episode, I shared that, like, nothing has really excited me the way Sinners did this year. And One Battle After Another has definitely entered the chat. Like,
okay,
I was very excited about this film while seeing it, and left the theater wanting to hear what people had to say. And to me, that is the mark of a great film.
Okay. Well, let me start by saying this movie is a big swing. It's a big swing.
It's a big swing.
It's a big swing because of the themes that it's trying to deal with. Apparently, it's based on a novel.
Yes, which I didn't know going in.
Yeah. Me either. And I've been trying to read some of the pieces that, compare, what is kept from the novel versus what is not in the novel. All of the names have been changed, but you can kind of tell character similarities to be like, oh, this is that one from the novel, etc. is what the reporting's saying. So I had no familiarity or knowledge of that. And I appreciated that they were swinging big.
Yeah, it was a big swing. And I will say going in, I didn't really know what it was about. I just saw like a bunch of
Didn't it give Western?
Running.
Did you see the poster?
Yes.
Have you seen the poster?
It's with the girl running and
yes, with Leonardo DiCaprio head in the background, but it's got this sunset situation going and the open, wide open road.
Yeah. I see how you got there.
I got Western.
Okay.
And so I was expecting that, and I didn't get that. Thankfully, I didn't want that. For the record.
Yeah. I think the thing that I was expecting going in was a story centered around Teyana Taylor's character.
Yeah.
With a lot more participation from Regina Hall's character.
Yeah.
And so it didn't deliver that, but the story we got was really still a nice, meaty, almost epic movie experience.
I heard. Epic is a great word. Yeah. I won't debate that. Yeah. Give me a little bit more about what took you with it before I get into my questions about it.
I think that I really loved kind of how this portrayed the tension that we're experiencing societally, politically in the country. And it imagines exactly what a network of rebellions could be to like fight back against the system from different perspectives. Like you have the Benicio del Toro character who runs like his network of folks through his dojo that what's Leonardo DiCaprio's character name? Bob?
That's his new name. Yeah.
That his daughter goes to, and we go through like all these different buildings to just like see the structure of what like his kind of like cohort of rebellion network looks like. And then we have the other side of it where we have initially when we open up the film with Teyana Taylor's character, we see their band of characters and like how they've built kind of like what they're doing through bank robberies and like creating disruption and like making noise and kind of like seeing the different vibes. Like even with the skaters, like seeing them going from building to building and like being in their vibe and then seeing, what's the one character? Lockjaw.
Yes.
How he's like constantly chasing them. Like it kept that momentum up in a really interesting way because we felt like someone was chasing a group of people who were responding in a very visually interesting way with bombs, with like car chases, with literally jumping from roof to roof.
Right.
And so that's what really kept me. I was like, this was almost 3 hours, and I didn't even realize that all the time had passed because of how it kept pace. And so that was like one of my big highlights of it.
I did note the time.
Oh, personally. So you felt the 2 hours and like 40 minutes.
I did. But I do appreciate what you mentioned in terms of the film's attempt to, and we should say explicitly, right, that like they're a group of revolutionaries. One of the things you mentioned, the bank robberies that they do and bank explosions that they do as a form of resistance. But one of the biggest moments is they break out hundreds of migrants that are detained by ICE. It looks like because it's like at the border ish. So that's the idea behind it, at least.
That's the opening scene.
That is
so that's
the opening
not even giving
scene.
much away.
And so, to your point, very much so representative of what we are navigating and living through right now. Absolutely, very much so on the nose. And I can appreciate an attempt to reflect, you know, what we are navigating now, and also, to your point, offer possibilities of what resistance could look like, what these interconnected communities of people could look like, how you could show up for your people, right, in various ways as a form of resistance. So I'll let you take that. I would like to dive into something really, you know,
I'm nervous.
Well, speaking of the kind of political, social justice forward messaging of this movie, some of it felt off to me. It felt in a weird way like, so there are these scenes with our fabulous Black women cast members. One in particular that comes to mind is it's a character, but her name is Jungle Pussy.
Jungle Pussy. She's actually her real.
That's actual.
Name.
That's the Jungle Pussy. Okay, so I'm familiar with the name. I wasn't sure what she looked like, and I didn't Google it before I got up on this microphone. But there's a scene with her, and she has a monologue. Right. And that monologue leads to this inciting incident that we won't spoil here. But the monologue felt out of place. It felt like I should have been hearing, spoken word bongos in the background. It just felt like, what are we doing here? You're robbing a bank and you're giving this kind of monologue in the middle of it. Felt off to me. And maybe that is, I don't know her acting experience, so maybe that might be something that contributes to it. But there's that. There's also some of the things that Teyana Taylor's character says and does
and writes
just feels like that character. I both loved it and I was challenged by it in and of itself. There's this other scene, right, where she how do I want to say this? She leaves a note behind in some way, shape, or form. Okay, because I'm trying to do this spoiler free for now. And on the note that she leaves behind, one of the phrases that she uses is, "This pussy don't pop for you."
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What are we doing, Paul Thomas Anderson? That is something that I understand why one might think and feel like a comment like that comes from a character like this. And yet I saw it and I was like, Like I laughed
Yeah.
because and everyone laughed, but it was just like, it just it's like things like that collectively just made me go,
Yeah.
these social justice motifs and effort, even the inclusion of the revolution will not be televised, the various ways that is incorporated in the movie, it just all collectively made me go,
Yeah. To your point about like the characters and how like some of those monologues played out, that was something I found to be an interesting way to like orient us in kind of like the character world we were being set in, because I look at those first that first base of characters that we're seeing in what I consider to be the prologue, like it's the first act. It kind of level sets that we're going to be seeing people from varying backgrounds in resistance. So if you recall, one of them, as they're walking into the bank or something, like she has like a Jewish, what I forgot what their star is called.
Star
the
David.
Star David. Yeah, she's wearing that very visibly.
Yes.
We have Jungle Pussy, who very much so represents, or is supposed to represent, kind of like that dated Afrocentric type of resistance. We have Teyana Taylor's character, who feels like she represents the modern version of like a rebel. We have Leonardo DiCaprio's character, who looks like he represents like the white man who just likes to blow shit up.
Right. The white man with a good conscience.
Right. And
down for the cause.
Then we have the tech man, who like gives them that little device that we see used often throughout the film. And it's kind of like our core group of like what resistance looks like before we're projected 16 years into the story and see all of the different kind of like layers of the onion get pulled back. And so that was interesting to see how he chose to portray the resistance. And by he, I mean Paul Thomas Anderson, who I want to like pull up here now just to understand who this is that wrote and directed this film.
Not you want to pull him up here. Okay.
Yes, because I'm not familiar with Paul Thomas. It's not that I'm not familiar. I've heard the name, know the name, but to be honest, this is like a cinematic blind side for me. I haven't seen much of his work. Like when I looked at his IMDb and his catalog, the only thing that I'd seen, I think was Invisible Thread, I think was his film.
Phantom Thread.
That was the only one of his catalog of like 10 plus films going back decades. And through this, like when I left the theater, I was like, I wonder who this man is. And I saw that. Do you know who he's married to?
He's somebody important. Say it.
Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, that one.
No idea.
You know, I stay out of I was about to say white people's business, but that's disrespectful. So I won't say that. But yes.
And so with that framing, understanding that like this is a white man married to a black woman and he has a black daughter, it's like, oh, this definitely paints things differently to me, just in like certain character moments that happen between Bob and Willa, the daughter.
So you think are you feeling potentially some sort of autobiographical? Well, is that what you are getting at?
Not exactly. I'm more so I guess trying to understand his lens on things and like how he may have inserted some of his life experience,
personal politics,
into how he painted this picture for us.
Sure. Well, I want to hear more from Black women critics specifically, because I happen to feel like all of the Black women characters in this film, except perhaps with the exception of the daughter, feel, and maybe, I don't know how to describe it, but I wanted more. I wanted more, and I felt like those women, those actresses deserved more. Teyana Taylor disappears halfway through the movie. Regina Hall is backgrounded and does still eke out these beautiful, intimate moments that Paul Thomas Anderson is known for and is good at.
Yeah.
But overall, I just was like, you know how you watch some of those movies and they incorporate Black characters, but the incorporation of said Black characters comes off or feels very surface or thin. Like you thought that you could change the name, or you thought that you could do this thing, and it's like, oh, you thought you could make the wife Black, cool, which means the daughter needs to be biracial. I kept watching it and being like, oh, this feels like a white man wrote some of these things that these Black people, Black women are saying, and it some of it rang as hollow or just like, this should have been a movie about Teyana Taylor's character. This should not have been a movie about Leonardo DiCaprio's character.
Absolutely. And that's why I made the point of like saying that the person who wrote and directed this is who he is, because that shift in the film to me was it felt very abrupt, because we were sitting with Teyana Taylor's character for so long in that first act.
And then she walk off to Mexico and we never see her.
Right.
So, disrespectful.
I want to take the balance off of you now. Like, I want to get into spoilers and like really get into the meat of it, because I feel like you're restraining yourself. And I don't want to hold you back.
I am. Okay, if you have not seen it yet, y'all, we might get into some things that might feel like spoilers. Okay, yes. So you do what you got to. Okay, praise the Lord.
So to your point about this, I thought this was going to be a movie that more so was from the point of view of Teyana Taylor's character, which we should say her name.
Perfidia Beverly Hills.
Yes, Perfidia Beverly Hills, which I was like, this feels like a drag name. Like, I need to know the story of like why this was the name choice.
Yes.
But I went in thinking that we were going to get more of her on screen throughout the film. And like, she's, like you said, after the first act, she's literally gone.
But she looms, her spirit and her energy,
like all the work she does in that first act is like essentially what sets up all the consequences of what we see play out in the film. And then like by the end, we hear her voice again.
We do. But I want Teyana Taylor to have the acting career that she wants and deserves.
Yeah.
I absolutely do. Now, did it feel like she was giving me a little bit of the same character she had in that Tyler Perry movie with what was the one
Straw?
With Straw?
Yeah, I didn't see it, but familiar.
Yes,
yeah.
it kind of gave badass woman with a gun.
But I think it was a better performance than the film that she did lead a few years ago, 1001, written by A.B. Rockwell.
Okay,
which I thought her performance in that film was a lot. And I think being paired with a director like Paul Thomas Anderson,
interesting,
kind of like not toned her down, but like really allowed her to be shaped in a better way to like bring in a lot of those eccentricities that like I felt were distracting in 1001.
Interesting.
Okay, but yeah, I agree. I also wanted more of Regina Hall.
Absolutely. I'm sorry I know. For some reason, the broader industry still seems to like not give Regina Hall the lead roles that she deserves and can command. You know, from a talent standpoint, she was one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Yes, that scene,
and she's not used enough.
Ooh, when she reappears,
yes,
in the bathroom scene to essentially rescue Willa.
Yes.
The way that scene is framed and how she is still stealing focus without even being in focus, it's shot through a mirror. And like we see her from like we see the back of Willa's head and we see her like from kind of a distance. And it's kind of like she's like in the background of the frame kind of a bit. But like what she's doing, hearing her voice and her presence there is so dominant in a way that I'm like, damn, I really want her to like have more meat to chew on in the script.
Absolutely. And I think that's Paul Thomas Anderson, I feel like, is one of those names, one of those directors where he probably, like, you get a call from him, you gonna do it, probably. You know what I mean? He creates work that is, I would say, that pushes boundaries of various kinds of sorts, whether that is like an artistic or creative or cinematic boundary, or whether that is something in terms of what the people are doing on screen, right? And And so I just say to myself, because this point about like Black women being underutilized in movies, it's the same thought I had about Regina King in this movie Caught Stealing. I don't know if you saw Caught Stealing. But I also was like, you have Regina fucking King in your movie and you're doing that with her. And so in this film, I was like, all of the Black women, including the daughter, although, you know, she is the second lead of this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason why she's on the poster, but you know, all them other names is what I was paying attention to.
Yeah.
And so that was just something that just, you know, I could go on and on, but those many things, I was just like, what?
Yeah.
This piss. Oh, and then, right, we haven't even scratched the surface of the Christmas, what is it called?
Christmas of Adventurers.
The Christmas of Adventurers,
yes.
which is this KKK-esque social group that the captain or corporal, I forget what his title, colonel, that the colonel is trying to become a member of, but they're very KKK oriented because you have to be like pure blood and they have to make sure that you've never slept with, you know, interracially and all of these other things.
Their big mission is to purify the nation.
They're white supremacists, you know? But we didn't even mention, so there's that storyline paired with him and Perfidia, Teyana Taylor's character, have a sexual, it looks like a history, a sexual history, right? That, again, spoiler alert, in case you didn't hear that before, okay, that we end up finding out that the daughter is actually his daughter. And so these worlds collide because he's trying to become, you know, new KKK member, and they're like, there are rumors that you have a mixed race daughter.
Yeah. And all of this, essentially, what we see play out in this film is a consequence of a white man's desire.
Okay.
Essentially.
Okay.
Like
because he's ashamed that he like Black girls. Well, because it is very fetish.
Yeah.
It is very fetish, and also Teyana Taylor
is horny.
And so can we also talk about her thing with white men?
Yes. Yeah. Because, I mean, it's very apparent that, like, I wonder if they're trying to say something about her appetite for power. Because she
having
has
power over white men.
Yes.
She does do this thing where she is very much so, I put me first.
Yeah.
You know, I got to put me first, Lucius. She does. She is very, very that. But yeah, it just I do want to invoke in this moment, you know, Assata Shakur as a revolutionary, rest in peace.
Yes.
As soon as I saw the news, I thought of her in the context of this movie as well, just like in that revolutionary, what it looks like to resist, you know, in particular times. Go ahead.
I was going to say, would she be kind of what Jungle Pussy's character could be modeled after of that era? I don't
even know.
Or at least that era of
I don't even
activism?
know. I don't even know.
Because they didn't really flesh it out. Yeah. And that's actually one of my kind of like drawbacks of the film is that I didn't really understand why this group or how this group of people got together and what their motivations were for becoming so passionate about the movement. And I really could have used that. I don't know how
the movie was already too long for you.
Yeah, it was already damn near 3 hours. But like, I really wanted to know, why was Teyana so horny? Why did she get involved these cast of characters? Why are all of them so intertwined? Why is Regina Hall's character so invested in making sure Willa, you know, is safe after 16 years and knowing that Perfidia has been a traitor, unfortunately, and snitched out, you know, the resistance. And so that's something that I was like, I wanted more of that, like understanding kind of like the character psyche of why decisions were being made.
I think, you know, I think the reality is, well, like you just said, I wanted a different movie. because I think some of the other characters are more interesting to explore how a circumstance such as this could go down. You wanted to make a movie apparently about the socio-political climate that we are navigating, and perhaps give people some sort of maybe activation, right? Perhaps I don't know. But you chose to do that through the white man.
Yeah.
And through you. I just
a white man.
Uh-oh.
You're touching on something that actually kept. I don't know if this was a success because of how much it got me charged up, but like I was so annoyed by Leonardo DiCaprio's character.
Yeah.
Because he very much so was a bumbling fool.
Yeah.
Like, he was clumsy, he was a drunk, he was,
druggy too, wasn't he?
Yeah. Like, it was really fun and like funny how they used like his drug addiction and alcoholism as like a punchline. We had to remember the code and all that stuff, and showing kind of the effects of how those things have worked on him. But it frustrated me how like all of the network and conventions had to bend to him.
Absolutely.
And like risk all of their, standings and positionings and what they built just to get this white man
absolutely
free or like out of his circumstance that he kind of like created for himself in a sense.
Although, now that I think about it a little bit more to going down this line of thinking you just did, I'm wondering if actually they weren't doing it for him, they were doing it for the daughter. They were doing it for the next generation.
Well,
right?
Sure, but remember when he finally gets through the hotline, and the person he talks to, which is also a funny moment about like, how do I like it? And his response is...
No, it's crazy. I don't know if it's funny. It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Maybe it's a little problematic, actually.
It was pretty ridiculous.
Another thing that was like, what?
Yeah, and to me, that was their touch point of saying that like he's regarded as a legend in the movement. And so like that's why things were bending to him. So I felt like it was less about the daughter and literally more about just because he's considered a legend.
And he did the right thing, right? He didn't turn on them. He just went off into the wilderness and they helped orchestrate that, right? Because they knew it was going to happen.
But what about the white man that snitched on him? Like, Perfidia has this reputation of being a snitch, but like, remember the white man who gets captured while he's like on the radio or whatever, and he's the one who tells them where Willa and Bob are now.
Yes.
But he doesn't get no smoke the way that Perfidia's character did.
True, but because she turned on everybody.
Yeah.
She didn't just, and he turned, but he was put up against a wall because Perfidia turns on everyone except
his daughter, her
daughter and husband, right? I mean, although you can say that. But yeah, I do think this is one of you mentioned this earlier. This is one of those movies that I do think is ripe for discourse and discussion, because there's a lot going on. And I do hope that people, particularly with the response that it's gotten from the critics, which I know we'll get to shortly, right? But, I hope that whatever spirit of revolutionary, energy, right, that is in this movie or supposed to be in this movie, that it does catch on. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I didn't say this. We've been talking, running our mouth for however long, and I didn't say this. I did appreciate the ways that they, I would say, accurately reflected how the state aims to quell and infiltrate and inflame, right? Protests and other forms of discontent, right? So in this film, we see the ways that they send in somebody with a mask and a T-shirt to throw
fire with fire.
a Molotov cocktail so that the protests can be so that the cops can use additional force to quell the protests. Even the ways that the witness protection program, because she gets into witness protection program at a point, which crazy.
You know what was in my brain, speaking of the witness protection program of it all?
Go ahead.
And the layer of the Lockjaw and Perfidia entanglement and like relationship. The thing that kept pressing my mind was a recent discourse with Laverne Cox and her MAGA man.
Oh, Lord.
And the dynamic of like a black woman having relations and being, you know,
but a particular kind of black woman, a black woman that's supposed to be
whose
a
visibility and voice and
and
activist,
and strong and rebellious and revolutionary.
And that kept coming to mind, which is like, you know, it was at least within our communities, it was something that was really like a rift. Like people were really up in arms about Laverne revealing to us that she was in love with this MAGA man,
which is also. It strikes me as interesting that slice of commentary, for all her, you know, bout itness, is not brought up by anyone either. Yeah. And maybe this is just like the hope for a race blind, you know, we don't see race here. We're just all committed to the cause. Yeah. But that read
something else I want to talk about was the cinematography. There were two scenes where cars were used that were like some of the most invigorating scenes I've seen in an action movie in a while. The first one was the bank getaway, and how essentially all sound drops out. And we just hear literally the car driving and like feel the anxiety of them trying to get away in that moment. And then the second is, I guess, like the climax or kind of like getting up to the climax where they're driving throughout the rolling hills and we start to see the different views of like, it's like building that anxiety and realization of like being chased. And like we see Willa's character try to figure out what to do in that moment, and what she does is so smart and also just like turns in a way for the character for me that I didn't know she had in her. Like I didn't know she was like trained to have this sensibility about her. And so like those were two scenes that really stood out for me visually. Was there anything that like really spoke to you?
Yeah, I did enjoy that scene. Well, so let me say the entire movie it is a feat.
Yeah.
Right? Like it has earned whatever budget that they used. I think I read it's waffling. Some of the reports say 130 million. Others say 175 in that area. But it earned it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. With all of the pyrotechnics and, you know, the explosions and the action scenes do feel action. Yeah. I do feel like I'm in it. I do feel absolutely. Yeah. I can absolutely affirm that. But there are some holes in the story. There are. Because I don't want to eat up this movie because everybody really, you know.
I mean, I'm here to get into it. Please do.
No. We don't have to. But there are also some other things that I was just like, okay, come on. Like, you know, it's so big that and so epic and so much of a big swing that I think I just expected it to land a little better for me. Yeah. But, you know.
There were some themes in here that I want to call out that I thought were interesting. The first one being kind of like postpartum and like what that looks like for a mother coming out of, you know, birth and like carrying a child.
Sure.
Right after Perfidia has her baby, like we see her struggling with like her role as a mother.
And like being jealous of the baby and the attention the baby's getting. Yeah, absolutely.
And not really being or feeling like herself.
Sure.
Which having friends who've had babies in recent years, being able to witness that, like, oh, this feels like kind of a pretty accurate depiction of what my girlfriends say they go through. So
sure.
That was one. The other that really kind of like stuck out to me was like the generational transfer of, to your point earlier, the movement. Specifically in the last time we see Perfidia or hear Perfidia's voice is through that letter that she leaves. And the idea of essentially our generation, the millennial generation, the reason why I know it's specifically the millennial generation is because when Bob is detained and has to give his information, he says that he was born sometime in the 80s, which is squarely millennial. It, to me, is like the first or most prescient film that we've gotten that represents where millennials are in like this phase of life of like aging out of being the young driving force behind the movement and like essentially kind of getting to a phase where like the work we've done, we're realizing it either worked or didn't work, and now having to bring up the next generation and empower the next generation to pick up the mantle. And that was like something that I thought was kind of a beautiful moment in how they kind of like push that narrative through the letter to the daughter who had been living her life with a different idea of who her mother was. And like, she just found out who her mother really was, but like still admired her and the work they did through the movement. So I thought that was a really big, powerful theme for me. What about you?
My problem is the mother is yet alive. The mother is yet in some way, shape, or form in contact with the father. Because he says, I don't know how long he's been holding on to this letter, but he says, I wasn't going to give it to you.
Yeah.
Right? Why couldn't she come back?
Yeah.
Or why couldn't they rendezvous somewhere?
That was another thing that like felt like a hole to me, or like a misdirect, because there were a couple moments where Lockjaw said he buried Pravidia. And I was like...
Well, yeah, it was a lie.
So I was like, is it a lie, or did he actually...
It's a lie.
Okay.
It's a lie. No, because she got away.
Okay.
She literally walked into Mexico. She literally walked into Tijuana and with a mask on, and the next thing we heard from her, but I think it's part of his lie.
Got it.
Because he got a Medal of Honor and like all this other stuff because she turned on the other rest of the French 45 or whatever number they were, and so I think he said he's telling the world, yeah, I buried her.
Yeah. Okay.
She don't even exist no more.
Okay.
She died in the or whatever.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I just. That's how I feel about this movie. I think I just want it more. I'm probably gonna watch it again because maybe I'll feel differently upon second viewing. But this is one. I want to get into what the rest of the critics are saying, but before we do that, let's do our seed it, skip it, or stream it recommendation for One Battle After Another.
So for me, One Battle After Another is absolutely a seated. I think people need to have their asses in these chairs and witness this film, if for no other reason than to just see a good movie this season. Lord, what about you?
No. I'm also gonna say seated. I am gonna say seated because it was a fine movie, and I know it's also one of the offerings on 70 millimeter. I didn't see it in 70 millimeter, so I wonder, what seeing it in that format might also add to the epicness that you talked about earlier. But I do think people should see it and see it in a theater, because with these action scenes, with these sequences, like you want to be able to, be engulfed with it on a big screen. But maybe you'll feel like how I felt. Okay, after I watched it. But I'm still on seated. Y'all should absolutely see it in the theaters.
Fabulous.
For sure.
All right, so with that, I really want to hear what the people are saying.
Yeah.
So tell us what the Rotten Tomatoes score is for this one right now.
Okay, so currently at the time of our recording, Rotten Tomato score is about 97%, which is super high. That's crazy.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Super high. And then the popcorn meter, which is the audience, is 88%, which I feel like is closer to where I'm at. I mean, I'm probably more in like a 77%. But that's,
well, fine.
But shout out to the
Fair.
critics, though.
Yes.
I'm glad that they like it. I'm glad that that the film is being received in this way. We'll see how that continues forward.
Speaking of critics,
Yes.
Our Black Critic Spotlight is coming from Randy Jones of RandyReviews.com.
Yes.
And they summed up the movie with the following. In the face of the authoritarianism, cruelty, and terror defining our bleak Trump 2.0 era, this is the kind of hopeful film America desperately needs. A must-see for anyone living in this country.
Okay.
I said it's must-see. You feel differently, but...
I understand Randy's quote here, and obviously it's part of a larger review where I'm sure they, take a critical eye in the way that they often do so well. I understand, though, considering what we're navigating, why why it may hit for folks in that way. I completely understand. For sure. I also, just last thing I want to say, on our way to a break, it also strikes me as interesting the ways that sometimes the most revolutionary Black folks, most radical Black folks have white partners. Okay, let's go to break. We will be back in a couple seconds with Black Cinema Games.
Back again, and now it's time for my favorite segment, Black Cinema Games. Tre'vell, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. You very excited for this, right?
I love this. So we're going to be playing the audio game again, Sonic. So here I'm going to be playing 3 sounds from Black films that hopefully you know and that many of us love. And Tre'vell, you have to guess what the movie is and from the sound.
I can do that.
Yes, perfect.
Well, unless you watched last week's episode, so, maybe not.
We do encourage you to play along at the crib. And so as I drop these sounds, give them a second to kind of like digest and figure it out if you know it.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So you have to guess the movie from this sound, and this is the first clip.
This is beautiful. What is that, velvet?
I have come for my son Akeem.
Oh.
Come for who? You know, Kunta from up.
Sounds like you know it.
Yes, this is Coming to America.
Yes, absolutely. It's the scene in the barbershop. You know, it's one of the iconic scenes with the late, great James Earl Jones.
Yes. I'm glad you let it go a little longer, because if you had just cut it at this is, what is this, velvet with that piece, I wouldn't have got it.
Really? That's one of like the most iconic things.
Well, I have a complex relationship with that movie and that franchise, actually.
Well, I chose that one because, as you know, one of the stars of One Bad After Another, she was in the sequel, Coming to America, Teyana Taylor.
Oh, Teyana Taylor. Yes, she was. Yeah. She has a habit of doing these little quick hit roles. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Good job.
Why won't the people let her do more? Why won't the people let her do more, Ray? Why won't the people let her do more?
She's a working actress, and I think that's what
is working. She is working. She is.
So you got 1 point on the board.
Thank you so much.
Are you ready for your next clip?
Let's do it.
All right. Guess the clip from the sound. Here is your next sound.
You can see her real hair right there. Do you mind? I know you better get out of my face. Out of my face. Out of my face. This is on me up in here. You handle that.
You shut the up.
Out of my face. Out of my. That is Regina Hall.
It is. Yes.
I know that's a Regina Hall.
But what movie is it?
Out of my face. What? I don't know.
Oh.
I'm like, but it's gotta be. It's older. It's something older.
It is older. It's very iconic.
Is it Scary Movie?
Yes.
Okay.
It is Scary Movie.
Okay. That's where it sounded like Brenda.
Yes, we had to walk you up to that one. But I'll
well,
give you that
it sounded like Brenda.
It was Brenda, and
But I was like, Regina Hall's another actress who I said before, y'all be playing with, and y'all only want her to do the sassy best friend, the quick comedic relief, and then she disappear.
Yeah.
But yes, iconic legend. Well, to bring back Mr. Marlon Wayans.
Yes.
Okay. Classic.
We have a thread coming.
Okay. I see what you're doing here.
Do you know what scene that was specifically?
Oh, I have no clue.
It's one of my favorite conventions of a movie when we're seeing characters in a movie.
Yes. She's in the movie theater.
Yes. Okay. She's in the movie theater, and the white woman is like aggravated because she's playing the loud character. She's like, get out my face, get out my face.
Okay,
iconic.
Okay, yes, I remember.
Whew. All right, so you got 2 points on the board.
Shout out to my context clues, y'all.
Yeah, we're walking you through this one, but
okay, that's all right.
Yes, sometimes you got to talk them through it.
Okay, ooh. Not too much now. Not too much. We a family-friendly show.
All right, you have one last chance to put another point on the board.
Okay,
let's
do this. Let's do this.
So guess the movie from this sound. Here is this third sound.
Hello, Steven, my boy.
Yeah. Hello, my ass. Who this nigga up on that name?
Oh, Steven, you have nails for breakfast. What's the matter? Why you so ornery? You miss me, huh?
Oh, yes, sir. I miss you.
Okay.
Sounds like you might got it. All right.
Okay, I think this is Django.
Yes,
Okay.
it is Django Unchained.
Okay.
You 3 for 3.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Push
Okay.
through.
Okay.
She's a winner this week.
Okay. Now how? Not this week. I heard that. Now how did you settle on that? Is that one part of the theme?
It is.
How so?
Leonardo DiCaprio, that is his character in Django Unchained.
It is
interacting with Samuel L. Jackson's character.
You know, funny enough, one of the original posters, like one of the styles of posters for 12 Years a Slave, if I'm not mistaken, is Chiwetel Ejiofor running. Oh, no. Yes, of 12 Years a Slave. But we're talking about Django. I don't know how I jumped to 12 Years a Slave.
Me neither. I was hoping you tied that loop.
Never mind. Never mind. Never mind.
I mean, they both are slave narratives.
They
so,
are.
Hey.
They are, but I was about to make a very wrong connection between the two.
All right. Well, you have 3 and you are definitely tracking up. I got to make them a little more harder next week.
Yes, you do. Go on. Get hard with them. Although there's a lot of stuff I haven't seen for real, as we saw. But you know, I love that game every single time we do it.
Well, let us know in the comments below how many, if any, you were able to guess. And if you're watching us on YouTube, drop the comment down in the box.
Yes.
And you can also check out our beautiful black faces and video for the full effect. Now it's time for our final segment of the show. Good vibes only. Tre'vell, get us started.
Okay, so I want to try to stay on a theme of sorts.
Okay.
And this is supposedly a movie about revolution. And it is supposedly a movie about the individual ways that, we can all try to fight back, right? I feel like, it's about resistance. And so I want to offer another movie that I feel like is about resistance, a different kind of resistance. And this is 1992's Serafina.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Starring Whoopi Goldberg.
Okay, I haven't seen it, no.
It's got a little musical element.
You sound offended that I haven't seen this.
I'm just surprised. That's all.
I have a lot of movie blind spots, whether you believe it or not. I didn't really start going to the movies as frequently as I do now until about 5 years ago, so...
Okay. Yep. Well, we're going to catch you up. But Serafina is a fabulous movie. It stars Whoopi Goldberg. It is based on a musical of the same name, right? Came out in 1992, and it's about the Soweto uprising. Okay. And so it follows Whoopi Goldberg, who's a teacher of these young folks who, want to get involved in pushing back against some of the systems. Okay. And so I think it goes to show in a really great way another example of what resistance can look like.
Nice. Okay.
And so that would be my offering for the people. Nice. I'm gonna get you a little bite of Whoopi Goldberg. She sings. Okay. She sings in this. And if I'm not mistaken, this movie was kind of like a passion project of hers.
Oh, wow.
Like, if I'm not mistaken, she didn't really make much money off of it, but she really wanted to do it. And so if I'm not mistaken, it came after, one of those bigger flashier moments in her career. And so she put a lot of effort behind, getting this movie done. So you all should check it out. I'm not sure where you can stream it. I should look that up next time. But it's out there. Yes. I've seen it.
I'm definitely adding it to my list.
Serafina.
I love passion projects from actors.
Yeah.
Those tend to be some of the best works in their catalog. So I'm definitely adding that to my list for sure. So my recommendation this week is kind of related to the film One Battle After Another.
Okay.
So there's a scene that is scored by a specific song, and that song is Hark the Hero Angels Sing.
Yeah.
Which to me is what makes this a Christmas movie.
Don't make me fight you.
But
don't make me fight you.
The version of that song is done by one Ella Fitzgerald.
Okay.
Which was a very specific pull, I think, for the film. And my recommendation is going to be Samara Joy and her last album, Portrait. Samara Joy, she's someone who's openly spoken about how she's been influenced by Ella Fitzgerald as a jazz singer. She's of the Gen Z generation, and she's Grammy Award winning.
Yes, she is.
Was Best New Artist, I think, 2023. And she continues to win Grammys for her work. And that has actually been kind of the soundtrack of my week this week. because I've been listening to a lot of Samara Joy's Portrait. So
okay,
that's going to be my recommendation.
That's a great album. Much of her music, if you're into jazz, if you're into, if you into it, you're going to like it. If you're not, then...
Samara Joy is that girl. So
I love her.
Add it
the talent, and she also comes from a family of singers. I've seen some of the clips of her and her like granddaddy singing down,
kind of in a way that John Legend comes from a musical family. I bring that up because I'm going to see John Legend at the Hollywood Bowl, who is celebrating 20 years.
Does he come from a musical family?
Yes, and Get Lifted. Literally, the last song I think is his family on track singing a song together. The Stevens family, I think there are. So Samara Joy also feels that way.
Chrissy not involved.
Now you playing. Anyway, Samara Joy is my recommendation. The album Portrait. Add it to your catalog and give her a listen. And Tre'vell's recommendation was
1992's Serafina, starring a one Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's going to wrap us up for this week's episode of Seated. We hope you love what you heard and share with a friend, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Next week we will be discussing The Smashing Machine with Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, that was one of our fall movie previews.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
So you all can check out that episode and, prepare yourself for what's coming next week.
Yes.
Thank y'all so much. See y'all next week.
If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like and tap the subscribe button. And if you're listening, give us a 5-star rating and review us in your podcast app or wherever you're tapping in today. It'll really help folks find us as we grow. Seated is an independently funded production, and your support can help us go further. Consider becoming a card-carrying member of the Seated Movie Club at seatedshow.com/join, where we'll be bringing you more of this popcorn-worthy content, special events, and more. And how do we do all that we do? Well, it's not by ourselves. Our theme music was created by Buckrow and animation by Zhang ID, with creative consulting by Jade Fox and publicity support by House of Heralds. This week's episode was edited by Ray Love Jr. Seated is a co-production of Slajon and 5011 Media. It's hosted and produced by Tre'vell Anderson and Ray Love Jr. and filmed on location at the Walgood Yard. See you at the movies. Holla!
Did I lie?
It was good.